Do the Cowboys have enough to truly compete? Are the Giants the worst team in the NFL? Can the Eagles repeat as champions? And were the Commanders one-year wonders? Also, does the freaking streak stop in this division? Let's find out. What's going on, guys? Dick Support here, back to another video. Today we're talking about, as you could guess, the NFC East, home of the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And what streak am I talking about? I'm talking about the streak of non-consecutive division winners since the Eagles pulled that off in 03 and 04. Actually, the last two of 4 straight, where they went from 01 to 04, and then no team has been able to repeat in that division since. I have no idea how that's possible, and yet, here we are. But the Eagles, it looks like they stand the best chance of breaking that, but we shall see. Let's break down the Cowboys. Alright, so the Cowboys, they struggled. Dak Prescott got hurt, and it just wasn't a good season from them that last year. Really wasn't. So yeah, now can this team rebound? Answer, I have no idea. Michael Parsons is still there, but the question is going to be, do they get a long-term deal done with him? From his play, he should be one of the top defensive players in the NFL when it comes to pay. But are the Cowboys really willing to do that? I don't know. They did just get George Pickens to be the number 2 next to CeeDee Lamb. But Dak Prescott's coming off an injury. Is he going to be able to get back to his old self? Or could he struggle a little bit starting off, or even struggle throughout the entire season? And what is going on with their running back situation? No, seriously, what is going on? Zeke Elliott is gone, but he's being replaced by Javonte Williams, 2 rookies in Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa, and one more thing, Miles Sanders is there as well. By the way, I was looking at my notes. I got notes right here just in case I forget something. Anyway, yeah, so the Cowboys, we know they have stars across the field. There's no doubt of that. The question is, does this team have enough depth-wise to be a true contender in the NFL? And I got a serious question with their secondary. DaRon Bland and Trayvon Diggs. Diggs has been injured the last 2 seasons. Bland was injured last year, and he didn't have an interception after picking off 9 passes, returning 5 of them for touchdowns the year before. Yeah, this is really big for the Cowboys. They did also let go of Mike McCarthy, and now Brian Schottenheimer takes over. Probably the most vanilla hire the entire offseason. Yeah, I know some Cowboy fans are not particularly high on Schottenheimer, but hey, we've seen stranger things happen. But make no mistake, this is still Jerry Jones' team. He wants to get back to the Super Bowl. Also, keep this in mind. Since the Cowboys' last Super Bowl, they are the only team in the NFC to not get to the conference championship, and one of 4 teams along with the Browns, the Texans, and the Dolphins. Think about that for a second. One of 4 teams. Dolphins haven't been great since the mid-90s. The Browns, well, at one point they weren't there, then they came back, and we all know their struggles when it comes to pretty much everything. And the Texans didn't show up until 2002, and they didn't make the playoffs until, I believe it was 2011. Okay, seriously, the Cowboys have a lot of questions, and they're not going to be answered until the season starts. We are not going to know what the ceiling of this team is until we see it on the field. Also, Zach Martin is gone. They replaced him with Tyler Booker. That is now the 3rd Tyler on the starting offensive line, along with Tyler Smith and Tyler Guyton. Smith is an all-pro. Guyton, he's got potential. We'll see if he can break out. Booker might have been a little overdrafted, but hey, he could shock us and have a great rookie season. That's all I'm going to say on that. Moving on to the Giants. I think the big question for the Giants is, how many quarterbacks are they going to use? No, seriously. Because they have 4 on the roster. Tommy DeVito is still there. He's the only one that's returning from last year. They sign both Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston to one-year deals, and then they draft Jackson Dart. Could we see all four of these quarterbacks start? And all four of them realistically could make the roster. We know Jackson and Wilson are going to make the roster. The question is going to be, it's probably going to come down to Jameis and Tommy. And again, I could realistically see them carry four quarterbacks because this could be a rough season for the New York Giants. Now, again, this team's got talent. Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defensive players in the NFL. They just drafted Abdul Carter. I'm expecting him to have a big, I mean big, rookie year. Kayvon Thibodeau, we could see him perform in a new light this year with the added competition with Carter. Of course, they have Brian Burns. And of course, Malik Neighbors just had an amazing season. Tyrone Tracy had a pretty good season himself. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. So there's a good amount of talent on this team. The big question is going to be the offensive line when it comes to the offense. Andrew Domus is coming off of injury. Can he get back to his all-pro self? And can anybody else step up on this offensive line? I got questions in the secondary. They just got Javon Holland from the Miami Dolphins. How does he mesh in with this unit? Can Deonte Banks recover from what was a rough second year in the league? Can he show that he can be a starting corner in this league? That's going to be the big question. But yeah, the Giants, they do have some talent. They do have pieces that they can build around, but it seems like it's still a few years away before we see them truly compete again. And how much worse is it going to get before it gets better? And really, for Jackson Dart, when do we see him in his rookie year? I would expect for him to start at some point this year. I'm just not entirely sure when. The plan's going to be making sure that he doesn't have to start as early as possible. If Russell Wilson can just perform adequately to start off, I think that'll be good for the Giants than just throwing Jackson Dart in early on. If you can wait to get him playing time until about over halfway through the season, I think that'll be a good thing. But always with this team, I would expect them to finish in last place in the NFC East and really pick near the top in the NFL draft this year. And then, of course, I'm going to be completely wrong, and the Giants end up being one of the surprise teams in the NFL. That's just how this works out, doesn't it? Oh yeah, I did forget to mention, the Cowboys report to training camp on the 21st of July, and then the Giants, they're one of the first teams they're going to be reporting on the 15th. Eagles are going to report on the 22nd, and, I mean, they are the Super Bowl champions. They are the reigning Super Bowl champions, and they still have that two-headed monster at wide receiver with Devontae Smith and, of course, A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown just got a new contract. Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. He really... Is he a top 5 quarterback? No. But is he going to give you a chance to win? Well, Pete just won a Super Bowl. So, yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. And Saquon Barkley. Oh, man, was that a terrific season that he had. He almost rushed for 2,000 yards. Really changed the dynamic of this Eagles offense because... I mean, you can find a way to stop a passing game, you can find a way to stop a great running game, but you cannot find a way to stop both. It is very hard to do. And of course, with that offensive and defensive line, I mean, that's how they won the Super Bowl. They just dominated the Chiefs in the trenches. And that defensive line is pretty much unchanged from last year. And in the secondary, Darius Slay, he is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. Like I said, Quinyon Mitchell, I had him as a breakout candidate. I would definitely expect him to have a big season. And I would even expect a big season from Cooper DeJean. And then they used their first-round pick on Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama. How much are we going to see him on the field as a rookie? And really, with the Eagles, I think they should be considered the favorite in this division. But like I said, we have not seen a repeat since the Eagles won 4 straight from 0-1 to 0-4. So can they stop that streak? Is this the year where it stops, or do we see it continue? And let's be honest, the last time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, it looked like they were the best team in the NFL, and then they fell off the edge of a cliff. Hopefully that doesn't happen this time, and the Eagles know how to avoid that. But really, with the Eagles, you're going to have high expectations. You are going to expect them to be one of the top teams in the NFL as a whole. Let's see if they can live up to that. So the Commanders went from the second overall pick in the 2024 draft to the conference championship game that January. Just how we all predicted. But in all seriousness, Jayden Daniels had a terrific rookie season. Alright? It was one of the greatest seasons by a rookie quarterback. Now, how can he build upon that? Alright? How does he avoid a sophomore slump? Now, teams have film on him. He's got to learn how to adjust his game, and hopefully the Commanders do an even better job of helping him out. Now, they got Deebo Samuel from the 49ers to be the number 2 next to Terry McLaurin. And Terry McLaurin, I think, is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. And to have Samuel, who does not have that number 1 tag on him anymore, I mean, we could see him do some pretty great things for Washington this year. It's going to be amazing to see what this offense can do now that Deebo Samuel's there and all the different things that he can do on the field. Defensively, Bobby Wagner was just one heck of a signing. All right, he really led that defense last year, and they brought him back as they should have. But one player that's no longer there is Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen was let go in the offseason, but they got Javon Kinlaw from the New York Jets, and also I would expect Johnny Newton to have a big season for them. They also got Dietrich Wise Jr. from the Patriots, and also from the Patriots, Jonathan Jones, the corner. So the Commanders are making the moves necessary to make sure that they show they are not a one-year wonder, that this is a team that is going to have lasting power, that's going to compete year in and year out, that this is not going to be their one and only conference championship game while Jayden Daniels is the starter. And again, Daniels just with a great rookie season. I really like Jayden Daniels. I'm really hoping this is the start of a great career from him. As long as they can keep him upright, keep him healthy, I think we are going to see great things from him. But as for the Commanders themselves, it is a little bit tough because they were the big surprise team, and we've seen surprise teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars that just fall apart the following year. And then we've also seen teams like the New England Patriots when they won the Super Bowl back in 2001, and that was a dynasty that lasted 2 decades. So we've seen it from both sides. What is it going to take for them to keep this going, to keep the good play going? Just them playing well. That's really all that's just all it breaks down to. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better way to say it. But Dan Quinn's a really good head coach. Okay? Dan Quinn is a good head coach in this league. I think he's going to do everything that he needs to do to make sure that this team is able to show that they're here to stay. Alright guys, those were my thoughts on the NFC East. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do the Eagles run away with this division, or could one of these teams steal it from them? It's going to be a fun season to watch. Next up is the AFC North, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.